There's a few things you need to know about the different types of schools in Buffalo. There's 3 main types, and we're going to talk about the pros and cons of each. I'm Michelle Petrie with Metro Roberts Realty and the Petrie team. Let's get into it. So obviously we have public schools all over the place here in the Buffalo area and surrounding suburbs. As you go into the suburbs are going to have higher rated school districts than they do in the city of Buffalo. The highest rated school districts are going to be Clarence, Williamsville, and Orchard Park. Clarence and Williamsville actually have 2 of the highest in the Western New York area. And people do move to those districts for the schools in particular. So if you are moving and you do have kids to think about where you want your kids to go to school and what you want their education to look like. To find out which school might be best for you and which suburb might provide your kid the best education, I always suggest going to the school's website to look at what their foundations are and what their motto is behind their education. Also looking up the ratings of the school statewide and what they flourish in and what might be lacking. Obviously, one of the benefits of sending your kid to public school is that when you live in that district, you're paying for their school through the school taxes that come out in October. So it's already included in your home purchase and where you're already living. So that's how we cover the education for your kids if they're going to public schools. You can also go and reserve time to take a tour of the schools that you're interested in. Reach out to the administration and the secretaries there, and they will set up times for you to go and view the schools, to see the classrooms, see the styles of teaching, things of that nature. So private schools are actually really popular in Buffalo as well. Many people decide to send their kids to private school depending on, the type of education they may have come from in the past, or maybe the district that they're in is not the most ideal, even though they love the area, the suburb, the city that they live in, they want to send their kids to a different school. We do have a lot of private schools in the area. Obviously, the downside of a private school is that you do have to pay extra for it. So you're already paying taxes for the public school, but you're sending your kid to a private school, so you have to pay private school fees as well. But with private school, arguably, they do get a better education. I am a public school child. I think I turned out just fine. Private school can be extremely beneficial for sporting as well because the sports are more widespread. You're going outside of the local Buffalo area to compete against schools in other areas. So that can be more competitive as well and maybe more of an elite program for your kid to excel in a certain sport. You actually don't have to live in the area of the private school in order to send your kid there. As long as you can get them there, that's all that needs to happen. So it's not like public schools where you're in a specific district, you go to that public school. For private, you can send them to whatever private school you want to get into. But they do have to apply, and some of them are a little rigorous with their testing and their application program. So just because you apply doesn't mean that your kid is going to get in. So it is based on sporting events, it's based on their academics. There's a lot that goes involved with getting your kid into a private school program. You can send your kid to private school actually starting as young as kindergarten and all the way up through high school. So as they go up in age and in grade levels, the tuition is going to get more expensive, and it will vary based on the private school that you want to send your kid to. Typically, they will have financial aid programs that you can either apply for or have a budget for monthly, but it will vary depending on the specific schooling. So there's not any area that I can say, hey, this one is, better fit for you because of cost. That's something you have to look into yourself based on your financial background and what financial aid you can get as well. So the third and final category is really a category of its own, Williamsville East, which is the school without walls. So literally Williamsville East is one of a few high schools in Williamsville in Amherst, New York, that the school does not have walls. So literally the classrooms are all open. You can see other classrooms around you. And studies have shown that it's actually more beneficial to kids that have trouble retaining information or maybe have ADHD, that they actually work better in that type of environment and they flourish in that environment, which I really would think would be the opposite, but it's really amazing based on the studies. If you look into them, they can really tune other things out even though there's so much going on around them. It's really a good environment for kids to learn from, and it helps them to grow in life because life is not built in a box. So it's really a unique program, and some people actually try to really get into Williamsville East. Every year is different in Williamsville, where they may have an open enrollment program where you can kind of choose or apply arguably to which high school you want to go to, even though your home might be in a specific high school district, well, a high school within the district. You might be in Williamsville North, but want to go to East, and you may have that opportunity to do so, even though that's not where you should go based on where your home is. Each year that changes based on the enrollment and how many kids they have going into the school. But it really is a very unique program A lot of people do move to Williamsville for their school district solely. This type of education sounds very new age, but it's actually still based around New York State standards. So the education is still very standard. It's just a new way of approaching the learning style. It may not be for everyone, but it's definitely something to look into if you have the opportunity. So those are just a few things to consider when you're moving in or around the Buffalo area or to the Buffalo area. So if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below, send me messages. We'll be happy to help you out.
Thank you for inquiring.
Thank you for your time. That is all.